Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dry Pink Dialogue. We're about 1 minute away from Inter Miami's 4-2 victory over Orlando City. And man, what a fun game that was, especially in the second half. I'm your host, Scotty. I'm here with my co-host, Saur. This is the Raw Reaction. All emotion, lots of interaction with the chat, so get your thoughts in there. But before we get to you guys in the chat, I get to you, my friend. How did you feel about that game?
Remember how I said in the pregame show that Orlando is a bit of a bipolar team? This game is very bipolar. We were so bad in the first half. We were terrible. We played like bottom half Fulham. It was bad. It was really, really bad. Well, Fulham's actually not that bad. We played like Tottenham. There you go. That's a good one.
We played like Orlando City, I think is maybe what you're trying to say. A bottom half team.
We played like how we thought Orlando City would play. And we made them look like prime Barcelona. It was that bad. And then Javier Mascherano, the tactical genius that we know that he is, making some fantastic changes, bringing on some fresh legs with Silvetti. No, in all seriousness, what a game, man. Really fun watch. I thought much needed. This was the get-back game that Inter Miami needed. And honestly, there were two ways that this could have gone. We absolutely destroy Orlando, or we dig ourselves a hole and then drag ourselves out of that hole. And that, I think, will galvanize the team for the next month or two and hopefully help build chemistry. I think that was a very important game for us to actually figure things out. The takeaways from this game are going to be immense. So I hope Javier Mascherano learns from that. And moving on, we don't repeat some of the same mistakes that we did in the first half. Lots of thoughts going through my head, but I'll stop there for a second and then maybe let you react.
No, I also have like 15 things I want to talk about. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rattle them off very quickly. And then if you are listening and you have a thought about them, write in the chat. And then it'll remind me to come back to them as we move forward into this Raw Reaction. First off, Germán Berterame still not really involved, which means this team is not at its best. And what we saw in that second half was really fun. And they were dynamic and what do I always say? Like suffocating and intimidating and I can't remember the third one right now, but like that's what it was in the second half. They were suffocating Orlando City, and that was without Berterame.
That third goal came because of Berterame, and that's how it should look. I think that was a glimpse of what can be a bigger picture, though.
I thought that was a lucky. He kind of got his defense. I thought that was a little bit lucky.
I thought it was sharp. No, I don't think it was lucky. You have to give him credit for holding the ball up and turning his man, and then a good ball into Messi. Of course, Messi does a good job laying it off for Segovia, but that's what involving your number 9 would look like. Sorry, that's all I want to say.
Fine. The other 89 minutes of the game, he was not involved in a way that I think you are expecting him to be involved moving forward.
Yeah,
it will look much better. So that's my first, that's my one negative takeaway. Okay, we're just, I guess, going to let him roll off. That halftime change I thought was ludicrous and insane, and it worked beautifully. So, claps to Javier Mascherano. Fantastic decision,
genius.
And it worked. It worked. It was incredible. Velasco Segovia, just absent in the first half. I thought was having one of his worst games, and in the second half, just a superstar.
Probably the player on the pitch, apart from Messi.
Yannick Bright, the responsibilities that they are giving him shows that it's not just us being impressed with his defensive skills. They see it. They trust him. They give him all of this responsibility because they know he can handle it. I thought he was fantastic. And the fact that they can choose him to be the tactical sub, to be the guy that's smart enough to know how to play that situation, I thought also was telling. And then Dane St. Clair is going to get criticism for the first goal because he should save that. He should save that, period.
Absolutely should save that, yeah.
And it dings his overall performance. People were too pessimistic about his ability with his feet. He is calm and comfortable and good with his feet. So those are my biggest takeaways. And then Messi was playing really well. I've run out of ways to explain how good Messi is, but I thought he was good in this. I thought he was excellent in this game. So those are some of my top line thoughts. Lastly, I thought Maxi Falcone had the type of performance that is not going to get the amount of criticism it deserved. I thought he was really poor in this game. So
I thought he was
those
horrible.
are my takeaways. Yeah, I thought
Yeah, I
those
thought
were my takeaways.
Mikhail was rude. So it's very interesting because I think for large parts, even in the first half, Inter Miami was doing some good stuff, but then they were being let down by some very critical moments. Yannick Bright, I thought in that first half was brilliant. Gets let down by Rodrigo de Paul, his midfield partner. And that was really annoying to see because I thought we were doing really well getting the ball up until the final third once again. Had some good shots, but then got cut apart because Rodrigo de Paul gave the ball away. Not just once, I think a couple of times. That led to dangerous transition moments for the Orlando team. Similarly, I thought Mikhail was doing really well in the back line. I thought he was doing very good as a centre back, but Falcone just seemed to be all over the place. Did not look comfortable in his positioning. That second goal that we conceded was largely his responsibility. I think he lets the runner completely off, turns around, doesn't even know where the man is. So there were moments where some players were doing really well and other players were not on the same page, and that comes down again to chemistry. Allende, I thought, was absent in that first half. Berterame was completely absent in that first half. Messi was trying some good things, got involved in a lot of good ways, but you can't expect him to do everything, especially once Orlando gets that first goal. There's absolutely no space in the middle for us to cut through. That's when you need the width. I wanted Silvetti to come on, but I didn't understand the substitution at halftime.
I
I
didn't either.
genuinely did not understand. I thought the logical thing would have been either to take Segovia or Yannick Bright off and then just bring Silvetti on. That would have
Well,
done the exact same thing.
that's what he did last week. He took Yannick Bright off
Yeah.
instead, and then as soon as he did that, we give up goals that go in the other direction. So,
So
like,
the fact
you
that he
know,
put Yannick Bright as centre back, I thought Yannick Bright struggled for the first 5 minutes getting adjusted to the centre back role, and then he absolutely grew into it. Then he was flying once he understood how he wanted to play and playing on the front foot, getting involved, getting the interceptions. And then lastly, I thought Dane St. Clair had a fantastic performance with his feet, had a couple of really crucial saves at 2-2, where Orlando could have easily scored that one, where they built up very well. Should have saved that first goal. Absolutely no excuse. Should have saved that first goal. But overall, a positive performance from him, balances it out. And then I thought Mura was quite poor. I would have. I think he. I don't think he was particularly fantastic. He got the job done, which was fine. And second half, it just felt like we picked up the kitchen sink and threw it at Orlando, and it knocked a couple of their players out. Then they got that red card, which allowed Inter Miami to not only score on that free kick, but just take complete and utter control of that game. This would have been a 7-2 game if we had our stuff together in that first half. It genuinely would have been. Orlando is nothing to write home about. We gave them the confidence in that first half. Their 2 goals came off of 0.4 xg. So it was us helping them get into that position and then basically saying this would have been too easy if we didn't let Orlando score the first 2 goals. So fair enough. Lots of emotions, a roller coaster of a game. Just glad that Inter Miami got their first goal of the season, got their first win of the season, and got their first win away from home at Orlando. Fantastic.
yeah, and we've been kind of hinting at it, but like my actual biggest takeaway was Inter Miami was way better for like 88 minutes, and
Absolutely.
Orlando City, their second goal, I thought was actually genuinely really nice play. It's a really nice shot, really nice like positioning by Griffin Dorsey to get himself in a spot to lay it off for Ojeda. Like I thought that was really nice, and sometimes you give up goals like that. That first goal, Rodrigo de Paul, just a bad pass, gets intercepted with Mura high up the field and not in a position to make a play. And then I thought the center backs did a poor job of closing things down. And then obviously St. Clair is in a position to make the save and just doesn't make the save. So that was tough. And then also we should remember Miami had like 3 really good chances the first half that Maxime Crepeau made good saves on. So my actual takeaway was I thought Inter Miami was way better. And Orlando City got a little lucky that A, they scored first, which allowed them to play the game from that perspective. B, they had a couple really nice saves from Crepeau. And C, like Inter Miami and Berterame and Allende just aren't clicking yet. But if all of those things don't go Orlando City's way, I agree with you. 7-2, I think it was like a realistic thing. So,
And just to hammer that last point home, I thought Inter Miami even though we were 2-0 down, that was very disappointing, very frustrating. And honestly, I just wanted to shut my TV off at that point. But we automatically, from the first minute, looked better than we did against LAFC. You could see there were good things on happening on the pitch. It wasn't completely coming off, but you could see there was some change, a little bit more of chemistry, a little bit more of athleticism. So just conceding those 2 goals, I think, went against the run of play, and Inter Miami should have done better. But I'm just glad that over the course of 90 minutes, we figured it all out, and eventually things fell into place. So kudos to Orlando. They came out, did what they had to do in that first half, and then I think Inter Miami's quality just completely took over. But Javi Marciano can't keep going with the 4-4-2, and that, I think, is my biggest takeaway. He has to change the formation. He has to use the width, because we no longer have the likes of a Jordi Alba to run the flank. Noah Allen is not the same kind of a player. If you're playing Facundo Moura on that side of the pitch, he's not that kind of a player who will produce the same output. You need wingers who will hug the byline and take players on. And that's why Silvetti coming on immediately changed the game.
Silvetti, the one other, another thought I haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
He has to play high and he has to play high and wide, and better on the left probably. But him playing as a wide midfielder is just a waste of his talent. And you see, as soon as you put him higher up the pitch, he is so much better. To your point, Inter Miami looked a lot better. Last week in the first half, I thought it was a really intense back and forth game, fought through the middle part of the pitch. Big game, LAFC, Inter Miami. This game, it was the same type of game for that first half and even into the second half, where Inter Miami was going up in like an intense battle through the middle of the pitch, especially night game rivalry, all that stuff went into it. And they answered and handled themselves much better. So, yeah, I thought it was a fun game to watch too, like as a casual.
Yeah, quite fun.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else before we get to the chat?
Now we have the bragging rights. Thank God. That would have been an embarrassment if we'd lost that. Even drawing that would have been an embarrassment, honestly.
I agree with you. When we were getting into the 80th minute and it was still 2-2, I was just thinking, man, it would really suck to not get this win right now because we're playing so well.
And then Segovia happened.
And then Segovia happened. Oh, that's just another thing. When we were doing the 10 best games of the year in the offseason, looking back at 2025, we were watching the highlights and we saw and were surprised at how many times we saw Segovia come up with clutch goals. And he just has a knack for it, and he's here back in 2026 doing it again. Okay, anything else before we get to the chat?
No, I think we'll cover it in the chat's questions and points.
Okay, Kareem says, we are so back. No worries anymore? Are we good?
Just a little bit of worry. But I think we're back. Almost. We just need Berterame to score. That's all we need.
If Berterame looked good in this game, I think I would feel better. I'm not sure that Orlando City team is very good. I thought they stood up to the rivalry, but in the end, they just don't have as much quality.
Especially their backline. Their backline is... They're a bunch of kids. That's where you can farm goals.
And Kareem is a new member. Thanks for becoming a new member. Cynical says 4-2. Lynn says Segovia was so good. Again, I thought he was bad in the first half. And then I think maybe the best player on the pitch in the second half, him and Messi, one of the two of them in that second half were just so dynamic. And again, we're talking about Silvetti putting him in his natural position. He plays better. Same thing with Segovia. If you give him the opportunity to play more centrally and to play higher up the pitch, he is so dynamic, and he gets lost deeper because that's not where his talent shines. And so,
also, I had a thought during the game as well, because at one point Segovia was basically playing as a box-to-box. He was back there defending alongside Yannick Bright, winning the ball, and then driving forward and getting involved in the final third. I thought this was one of Segovia's best performances for us in a long time, barring a couple of performances in the playoffs. But he's one of my favorite players to watch, man. Once he gets going and he starts taking charge, it's an absolute poetry to watch. And that goal was so well taken as well, in tight spaces, got the shot away, right in the bottom corner, exactly where he was supposed to have shot it. And that was the winning goal, technically. It took us to 3-2. And just, I'm a little confused as to how you fit him into the broader team if you try to play two wide wingers with Allende and Silvetti without taking out the likes of Yannick Bright. But I do think
The answer is
He
it's,
needs
it's
to be in the
Allende.
squad.
The answer is Allende. Here's the thing about Tadeo Allende's performance. That wasn't a bad performance by Tadeo Allende. That's what he does. That's who he is. And anyone that has lost sight of who Tadeo Allende is missing the point. He is a guy that makes runs. He opens up space. He did all of that today. And sometimes he gets a goal, and he didn't get the goal today. But other than that, that's what Tadeo Allende is and has been, aside from 4 games in the playoffs. So, we'll see how that all unfolds. But the truth is, in a 4-4-2, Allende belongs on the pitch. And in some sort of 4-3-3 where, Segovia and Allende and Soletti are playing in the positions they should be playing in, it's Allende. And then he becomes like a weapon that you can use off the bench or like a shake-up or an opportunity to get guys rest or whatever. Like, he would still play a ton, but that's the answer.
Can I offer you another way of thinking about this? I'm not sure if the 4-3-3 is the direct result of what we need to accomplish with this team. I think a 4-2-3-1 can also get us there. But honestly, the 4-3-3 and the 4-2-3-1 would... So here's what I'm trying to get at. If you play a 4-3-3, Segovia fits in and maybe Allende sits. And if you play a 4-2-3-1, Segovia sits and maybe Allende plays. So maybe it's not as simple as one starts every single game. Maybe it's depending on the opposition and who we're playing against. Maneuver things around. Be a little bit more flexible.
But you're just saying do what they've been doing or play a 4-3-3. Like,
no,
this idea
4-4-2
of...
is different of a 4-2-3-1.
Not really. Not with the way Messi's playing, because Messi
no,
doesn't...
No. Because in a 4-2-3-1, let me complete my thought here. In a 4-2-3-1, Messi is going to be playing as a number 10. That he's going to do anyways with a 4-4-2 as a false 9, right? He's going to occupy that space. But in a 4-2-3-1, you have 2 wide forwards. You don't have 2 right midfielders. A 4-2-3-1 gives you automatic space to play wide forwards like Silvetti. That's a pure winger formation. That's not a narrow formation.
I understand what you're saying, but with the way Mascherano, what he asks of those players to do, it will end up looking the same. They will have
so
to
that
play
way,
a ton
even a
on
4-3-3 is going to end up looking like a 4-4-2 with what Javi Mascherano asks these players to do, right? That's what I'm saying.
No.
An alternative, an alternative formation would actually involve a 4-2. In my opinion, a 4-2-3-1 is a different formation than 4-4-2, and you disagree. I think that's the fundamental point here.
Only because the pivot player is Messi that differentiates those two, and Messi's not going to change what he does on the pitch. So, anyways, I hear what you're saying. I don't know if arguing about this is fun to talk about. So let's keep going on this game and get back to the chat. JC says this will be in the top 5 games of the 2026 season for Inter Miami. I thought this was a really fun game and super frustrating in the 18th through 23rd minute when they go down 2 goals, because I thought Inter Miami was the better team throughout the first 25 minutes and throughout the whole game. But to have them come back on the road against Orlando City in a place we've never won before, like, I thought all of these things were really fun to watch. And the fact that they get over the hump at the end, I thought was a lot of fun.
And there were 2 ways that we could have actually won this, as I said at the start. We could have blown them out of the water. This could have been very easy. Or you just come back and make it a feel-good game. And I thought this was a feel-good game. If we had won this 1-0 or 2-1, I think it would have been like okay, yeah, we didn't really get what we wanted out of it. But coming back from 2-0 down was, I think, phenomenal for morale. It was a great feel-good game. That's what it was.
Yes. A says, welcome back, Brace, man. I think there might be a lot of braces in Lionel Messi's future this season. Maybe not a ton of hat tricks. Pepto says, Silvetti changed our lives. Put some respect on his name. He did come back and was fantastic. He comes in 3 minutes in, takes the shot from distance, gets the goal, and all of a sudden it's 2-1. It feels like a real game, and it puts Inter Miami right back in the driver's seat. I don't think
against LA, he played right wing, right?
He played as a right-sided midfielder, and then at halftime we moved him up to the left wing for like 18 minutes.
Looks so much better there.
Yeah, he does. Toto says 70 free kicks in Messi's career. That free kick was pretty nice too. Like it did feel like an extension of the game because we had already done the work to get the win by going up 3-2, and then they had just lost a man to the red cards. The game felt over at that point, but it was a really nice free kick.
Could have been saved, but I thought the way he took that free kick was very well placed.
User says, great game, but we need to get Bertarame going somehow.
Yeah.
Um,
Agree.
are you worried?
No, because here's the thing, right? Bertarame has been doing good flashes throughout the games. I can see the runs he's making, the place pockets that he's occupying. I think it's less to do with him as the player and more to do with how Javi Marciano integrates him into the final third. Does he make Berterame the sole number 9 where basically everyone's responsibility is to get the ball into him? Or he plays with a fluid attack and be like, everyone just go and get the goals. We don't really care how they come. So it'll be interesting to see how Javi Marciano fits him in there. And I think that's fine. Given that he's a new player, different from Suarez, we haven't necessarily had that focal point number 9 so far in the Javi Marciano. It can take time to click, but I am not worried about Berterame the player. I think he has enough in there, and he's showing glimpses of what he can bring to the table. And I think he's going to come good, man. You just have to give it time.
Yeah. It does feel like they're putting the ball forward to him and he's in a different spot like 4 times a game. And I'm like, that's timing and it's chemistry and it's understanding each other. Like, I'm not suggesting it won't get better. It has been like weirdly off in my opinion.
It's also been Rodrigo de Paul being really bad at the final third passes in the last, like in this game especially. He was so Messi was shouting at him as well at one point. I thought, yeah, I don't know if it's the midfield and the balls coming into him that are bad, or it's Berterame making the wrong run. I'll have to rewatch the games to understand that. But
I'm wondering
it'll
if there's
happen.
I'm wondering if it's like becoming a psychology thing. And this is the thing that is I'm a little nervous about, because we did see in the front and the announcers did mention this. There's a moment where Segovia makes a darting run in behind Bertarame, and they're like, why isn't that Bertarame making that run? And then they showed the replay from the great angle above. And he said, he's just kind of standing there waiting for something to happen because he's not sure exactly how to make the right move to get open. And so to your point, I think the first couple of games he was on the pitch, he was constantly trying to make moves. And then it was like, it just wasn't exactly what either Messi or DePaul or whoever was expecting or wanted him to do. I'm wondering if maybe in that second half we saw a few less runs from him, a few less, like he was just trying a little bit less to make the perfect run because he knew it was just not working right. Again, I agree with you that it will work. It will work, but I'm hoping it doesn't become a mental thing.
If Lionel Messi can get Tadeo Allende out of a mental rut and have him score 9 goals in the playoffs, I'm sure Leo Messi is going to make Berterame look like a superstar.
Can
As
I
simple
say,
as that.
speaking of getting guys opportunities to build confidence, after Thursday night's game, we talked about Gonzalo Lujan and how do you get him confidence? And I thought this was actually the perfect opportunity. So I want to give Machado another sort of thumbs up for Gonzalo Lujan. This was like a low stakes opportunity for him to get on the pitch in an intense environment at night with a loud crowd and build some confidence without being like half a step away from ruining everything. So I thought that was a great decision by Mascherano there too. Rico says, who did Silvetti come in for? And I think we can use this to talk about the halftime sub. Noah Allen at left back comes out of the game. I thought that was fine. Noah Allen was not having a good game. Once you see that it's like a back 3, but really it's Mikael as a left back and Facundo Moura as a right back, and it's sort of just Maxi Falcone, Yannick Bryce trying to figure out, am I a center back or am I a defensive midfielder or am I a center back that steps into the midfield? Like the first 2 minutes of that, I was thinking to myself, this is the craziest decision I've ever seen. And then after 2 minutes, it worked fine. And of course, you get the extra attacker on the field, and it immediately comes good, and it works out perfectly. What were you thinking when you saw what was happening after halftime?
I didn't watch the substitution happen in real time, so I was basically trying to see who's on the pitch and who's off the pitch. I saw Berterame and I was like, okay, maybe he took off Allende. I saw Allende, I was like, okay, maybe he took off Segovia. I saw Segovia, I thought, okay, maybe he's taken off Yannick Bright. I saw Yannick Bright, and I genuinely, for the life of me, thought we were playing with 12 men for a second. And then I saw that Noah Allen's not on the pitch anymore. I was like, is Silvetti playing left back? And then I noticed the entire formation switch with Mikhail playing as the left back, Yannick Bright as centre back. And I was like, this is it. Javi Marciano's lost the plot. We're going to get obliterated. And then Yannick Bright had a couple of iffy moments at centre back. I was like, we're going to be absolutely wrecked. And then Silvetti scores. And then I thought, he's basically the MLS Pep Guardiola. That's what he is. He's bold.
That's what I was thinking.
He loves Messi.
I see the substitution, and it's Noah Allen who's taken off. And I'm thinking, okay, like, is Tadeo Allende going to right back and you're putting Mura on the left? Like, how is this going to work? You see it come out, and I'm thinking this is going to be bad. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And then
I was like,
Silvetti scores right away, and it changes the momentum and the feeling of the game, and then I forgot about the formation entirely. So...
And I don't
Perfect
even know
decision.
if we were playing in a formation. It just felt like everyone was popping up everywhere to plug the gaps. Mikhail was popping up in left wing at some point. Yannick Bright was literally all across the back line. Rodrigo de Paul was basically doing Rodrigo de Paul. Yeah, it was interesting.
Well, we saw Mascherano make this same exact substitution many times last year, where he would take out a center back and he'd put in either Baltasar or Segovia, whoever wasn't starting, and it was in order to get a guy going forward. But it was Busquets who would play the center back / midfield role, and you trust Busquets to always make the right decision on where to be and when to be and how to control the game. And that's why I wanted to make a mention of Yannick Bright at the start of this, was the fact that they trust him to do that is a huge difference than asking Sergio Busquets to do it. So I think that just shows the respect and appreciation they have for him as a player. And you texted me this during the game, that like Yannick Bright, especially in that first half, man, he was having a banger of a game. The multi-dimensional use this player has developed into over the last 2.5 years, but even this year has taken another step forward, I think has been incredible. He went from a guy that just won the ball back every single time to a guy that's doing a mock impersonation of Sergio Busquets. I mean, that is a role that I think I thought today, when I woke up this morning, only Sergio Busquets could have done that. And Yannick Bright did in the second half. So huge credit to Yannick Bright, really.
I think I figured it out. This team doesn't need a formation. Just throw all the players on the pitch at the same time. Everyone. Okay. Hear me out. Yeah, I don't even think we need a goalkeeper. You throw Bertrame, Suarez, Messi, Allende, Silvetti, Segovia, Yannick Bright, Rodrigo de Paul. And then if we have like 2 or 3, Ian Frey, and then if we have 2 or 3 spare spots, we can put in whoever, maybe Mikhail and Falcone. But honestly, if you put all those players on the pitch, they'll score a few goals to win every single game. I think it's that simple. I am so high on vibes football right now. Like it doesn't matter about tactics.
We should get to the next chat before we get too silly and start giving out cookies, because
I am so high on the vibes. I think it's all about vibes football. Forget about the tacticals.
Ash says, speaking of, we have the formula for breaking down the low block. Just kick the ball around like 50 times so no one can track it. Josue says St. Clair did a superb job with his feet. Credit where credit is due. And again, one of the things that has been frustrating to me as a fan of Inter Miami is watching people lean too into the stereotypes about players this offseason, especially before we've really gotten a chance to see players. I think Dane St. Clair, we would have said 3 months ago, is going to be the best shot stopper we've ever had. And maybe he wouldn't be as good with his feet, and maybe he wouldn't be as good with his decision-making in and around the box. And here he is. I thought he was fantastic. I think I don't know if he's had a turnover with his feet since he put on a pink shirt. And yet he's missing the shot you expect him to have. So when it comes to guys that are new into this team, Bertarame and Fukunomura and David Ajala and whoever else, like, let's give them a chance to really show who they are before we judge them too positively or too negatively, because we might just be surprised. Tunde says, can anyone tell me the formation we played for most of that second half?
It's called the F it we ball formation.
I mean, they played with a front
I think it was
3 and 2-10. It felt like a front 3 with Bertarame, Allende, and Segovia, and then 2-10s in behind with, I'm sorry, not Segovia, Silvetti. 2-10s in behind with Messi and Segovia. And then Rodrigo de Paul was playing as a midfielder. Yannick Bright was playing as like a half midfielder, half center back. And by the way, I'm pretty sure there's some fancy European term for what that's called. And then Mikael and Mura were playing as fullbacks. It's weird, but it worked. Sean says Bright playing that Boosie role was a masterclass. EX says should have been 7-2. Saur was almost right.
I told you, man. They just don't want me to get that. They just don't want me to get it.
Lawrence says this team is still slow. A fast team will suffer us. Will make us suffer, I guess.
I think it was a lot quicker today.
Yeah. I think they're good. I think this is a good team that's just a little bit off in the final third. And then there's been a couple mistakes from the goalkeeper, from Rodrigo de Paul. Today, I thought from Maxi Falcone that have led to goals going the other way. But I think in general, they played pretty well.
And here's the thing, right? If we had a decent preseason, we would already be in flow state right now. The problem would have been if Inter Miami was regressing. I think there's been a progression in every single game that we've played, even if it might be minute and incremental. We are getting better. It was better than what we saw against LAFC, even though we were still 2-0 down at halftime. There were good moments from players. You could see there was some chemistry, some sort of chemistry coming together. I thought Javi Marciano did really well in making the changes that were necessary to bring out the best. So a lot of positives to take away. And I thought against LAFC, we really suffered because the final third play was just completely off. Today, I think we created enough opportunities in that first half as well to maybe even go into the halftime as 2-1 or 2-2. But Kripo had some really good saves. And then, yes, we made some mistakes that allowed Orlando to get the advantage. But overall, glad that we were able to come back into it. And, well, we scored 4 goals, so you can't really complain.
Lee says Messi was trolling the crowd and talking smack to the Orlando bench.
Hates
I thought I heard, I didn't see this, I must have blinked or something. I thought I heard Taylor Twellman say that he was asking the Orlando City bench if they wanted an autograph. And if that's the case, that's awesome.
He hates this team, despises them.
User says, how do you think we can get Bertarame more involved? It's just time. I think it's just Messi and Bertarame and Silvetti being on the pitch together and figuring out when exactly they want to make runs, where they want to go. Because one of the things I noticed was that Bertarame is making diagonal runs to the short side, and their passes are going to the backside behind the defender as if he's going to make a straight run in behind. And so that is like the type of thing where it's just you have to read the other player's mind, and you build that by doing it 1,000 times in practice. Jamie says, what's up with Noah Allen? Surprised by his performances.
I think it's just not been standout the way we're used to at left back. I didn't think he was poor. I just don't think he was productive. And maybe that's what this Inter Miami team and fans have come to expect from that left back spot so much, that it's going to take some time for him to get used to it, for him to get involved in it, understand his new role. I didn't think he was particularly poor there, honestly. But I'll have to rewatch.
I went back and rewatched last week, and I thought the criticism on Allen was way overboard. I didn't think he had any standout moments, but I didn't think he had any bad moments either last week. This game, I thought he struggled defensively. It was just weird that he was the guy that came off just because of what it meant for everyone else. But again, we talked about it. It worked out. JD says, what if we just play 3 at the back and then all of our best attacking players?
No.
Hey, that's what you want, right? Forget the goalkeeper. Just three defenders, and then put all our attacking players forward.
Fair enough.
Jenna says, can't stay, but just wanted to say how damn happy I am our season has started, that we won today and have this group here.
Such a good point. Season started, finally. We've just scored our first 4 goals. So Thank God.
Yeah, and also we talked about this in the pregame show. They're playing 7 road games to start the season, and they have the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which has been our primary focus. But if we just think about the MLS for a second, there was a way they could get 6 points from the first 7 games if they were just constantly on the road, and all of a sudden they were playing 2 games a week, and like they were just not focusing on it. And they were the fact that they get 3 points here. Next week they play DC before that Nashville game. If you can get 3 points there, all of a sudden the next 4 MLS games you can kind of let's rotate, let's keep everyone fresh for the CONCACAF Champions Cup, whatever. So I think 3 points tonight really was big. Movie Night says thoughts on Mura versus Ian Frey going forward, or moving into the future.
Do I need to give my thoughts? I think Ian Frey is outright the better choice here. It's just a matter of Javier Marciano figuring that out as soon as possible. I thought Mura was fine, but I didn't think he was particularly great in the first half. Especially, he got turned around a few times by that Angulo, and I forget the name of the right back, but that they were pressing on that side a lot. Angulo had some really interesting runs in, and I think in the first goal he was a little bit too narrow, which allowed them to create all that space on the right hand side. So I'll have to rewatch, but I didn't think he was particularly great either.
I thought he was solid. What I will say is, I still think we're still learning what Facundo Mura is, and some players have like a standout trait that's just undeniable. You know, they're so pacey or they're just so technical or whatever it is. Mura doesn't have anything like that, but he could just be like a really good all around player, and I think we're still figuring that out. So I thought he was fine tonight, but like I'm not going to make any declarations of who should play next week or in 3 months. I thought it was a good game from him though. Sean says I think the term you're looking for is libero. Maybe there's a center back that steps into the midfield. The other thing I wanted to mention, and this is I'm gonna be on the opposite side as you probably and everyone else in the chat. Rodrigo de Paul has really grown on me. Like the intensity and the I want to be everything and do everything, it's not always coming off. And I get the yelling at teammates is not a good look, but the intensity and fire is kind of what I was expecting when he first came, and the effort and the like, I'm just going to run everything. And we did not see that from him last year much. And it feels like he's absolutely said in these first 2 games of the year, I am going to run this midfield. And the like, I don't know, it says like arrogance to it. It's kind of like turning me on a little bit. I'm becoming more of a Rodrigo de Paul fan.
I think you need a cookie. The word I am thinking of is sharpness. He has a certain sharpness to his game. An edge. He has a certain edge to his game now, which he didn't necessarily have last season. I just saw the chat.
It is more intense. It is like an intensity and an edge. I think edge is the right word.
And I don't think he was particularly great today in certain moments. But when he just gets the ball and runs with it and just takes out like 5 other players from the opposition team and gets the ball to the final third and presents it into Messi's feet, I'm like, ooh, that looked very good. His ball carrying is probably the best I've seen from any of our midfielders. I don't think anybody does that on this team other than Messi, obviously. His passing is not coming off, but maybe it's because I think it's because lack of chemistry. Once it starts clicking and the chemistry is there, I think it's going to be fine. But I agree with you. I think there's a certain intensity and edginess to his game now, which I'm enjoying. And it's not perfect by any means. I still have certain points of criticism for him. I didn't think he was particularly fantastic today. But I saw moments during the game where I was like, oof, that looks very, very good.
Yeah, apologies for the inappropriate reference. Not what I meant. But certainly that's probably how it sounded, so I apologize.
It's an emotion. It's about the emotions, right?
It's not what I meant. But what I will say is the edge, I think, is the right way to phrase it. Like he's like, I am going to run this midfield Watch me. And I'm going to run through you. I'm going to pass through you, and I'm going to dominate you defensively. And I love it. So that is like, I am becoming a bigger fan of Rodrigo de Paul, the way he's played the last 2 games than what we saw last year. So maybe we should call it quits for the night. Any final thoughts, Saur?
Nah, man, I just glad we won that game, because I was already writing out the speech that I was going to give when Inter Miami finished the game 3-0 and lost this to Orlando City, and I was probably going to hand in my resignation after giving in a 7-2 prediction. And us losing so badly to this Orlando team. Glad that Messi decided to step up and save my face, at least. Glad the season started, man. Finally, we've kicked the ball. We've scored our first goal, and we've broken the Orlando City curse. Onwards and upwards. I think it's going to get better from here. So as long as Javi Marciano and the rest of the team can figure out how they want to fit some of these players, I think we're going to get better, hopefully.
One last thing I did want to say, Colin Guskey, the 19-year-old midfielder for Orlando City that got the red card. I feel bad for him because that first yellow card was not on him. It was absolutely on Tahir Reed-Brown. And then he gets a second yellow, which was on him, but only deserved 1 total yellow, and he gets sent off. Not that it would have changed the game, but I'm sure he's going to get a suspension now. So feel bad for the 19-year-old because that's tough. But I don't really care that much. So, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Raw Reaction. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll rewatch the game. We'll have a chance to sort of break down all the performances, and we will, as always, give out some awards. Hope you guys join us. But until then, have a lovely night. We'll see you guys next time. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this, and have a wonderful day.